Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. Let it be known we are live this week from Times Square, where the Black press received a special invite not only to meet with and interview the legendary Otis Williams of the Temptations, but to see the opening of the exciting new musical Ain't Too Proud to Beg. So we are right here in the center, the heartbeat of the world, Times Square, New York City. At the end of yesterday's broadcast, we learned of the death of former General Colin Powell, the first Black Secretary of State, who died from COVID-related complications at the age of 84. Bobby Henry, the publisher of the Westside Gazette in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, was the individual responsible for breaking that news to us yesterday. And we're going to talk with Bobby Henry this morning, along with columnist Perry Busby. So look forward to a great conversation this morning about not only General Powell, but all things going on in South Florida. Of course, we're going to start with a look at the headlines this morning for this Tuesday, October 19th. A state trooper in Louisiana who publicly criticized his department's role in a violent 2019 traffic stop of a Black man who died vowed on Friday to fight for his job after being notified of his pending termination. Carl Cavalier, who's 33 years old and has been with Louisiana State Police since 2014, was quoted by a local TV outlet earlier this summer as saying the department was involved in a cover-up of the death of Ronald Green. Cavalier, who is Black, also called troopers who arrested Green murderers. He said they killed him. Cavalier said he's being retaliated against for those comments and for writing a fictional book under a pseudonym about the experience of being a Black police officer. Quote from Cavalier, he says, "I swore and took an oath to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to pursue my job with everything in me. If the justice system works like it's supposed to, if the appeals process works how it's supposed to, I believe I will have my job." So it's something that we'll be watching closely at Black Press USA and many of the National Newspaper Publishers Associations publications around the country. Also in the news this morning, the mother of Elijah McClain, a Black man who died days after a violent confrontation with police 2 years ago, has settled her federal civil rights lawsuit against the Aurora, Colorado Police Department and the city. A settlement in principle has been reached with the city, resolving all claims raised, said Shanine McClain. There were no additional details available about this settlement, but lawyers said only that allocation of the proceeds between Shanine McClain and the father, Lewayne Mosley, were being determined. The city spokesman would not respond to a request for comment, but the city did confirm that there was a settlement. The suit alleged that the city, 3 police officers, 2 paramedics, and the medical director of the Aurora Fire Rescue Department violated the 23-year-old's civil rights when they placed him in a chokehold during a confrontation, and they injected him with some sort of sedative. He was subjected to, quote, brutal force and then sedated for a dubious medical condition called excited delirium, according to the lawsuit. The lawsuit goes on to say that Elijah was listening to music, enjoying the short walk home from the corner store with some iced tea when the police officers grabbed him, tackled him, and assaulted him. There was, of course, footage of that 2 years ago. His family said he wore a mask as a result of a blood condition that often made him feel cold. And officers were told that he was an introvert and to respect. He said on that videotape, "Please respect the boundaries that I am speaking." And that was from the police body cam recordings. And yet they grabbed him, placed him in a chokehold. And of course, the result was death. And before we continue this morning, let us now bring on from Times Square in New York, the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Dr. Chavis, good morning.
Good morning, Stacey Brown, and good morning to America, but particularly to Black America from the Black Press, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Karen Carter Richards, our chair of the NNPA, and representing 230 African-American owned newspapers and media companies across the nation. We're glad to be here on this Tuesday morning in the middle of Times Square, in the middle of Broadway. And we have a illustrious, historic making guest this morning, Irene Gandy, who will be with us. Now, actually, I'm interviewing Irene Gandy this morning for the Chambers Chronicles. I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah,
I know we have our publishers this morning.
Yeah, I was thinking, Dr. Chambers, when you said that, Greer, our producer, she's back there going, "What? Where is she?"
I know. I'm making an announcement live because we are going to interview Irene Gandy. She's the queen of Broadway this morning for the Chambers Chronicles. But let it be known, we're going to be talking to some of our distinguished NNPA publishers.
Absolutely. And Dr. Chambers, we're going to do that right now. It's always a privilege, a pleasure, and exciting to have from the Westside Gazette down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, our own Bobby Henry. And joining Bobby this morning is columnist Perry Busby. Good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Bobby Henry and Brother Busby, y'all did such great work down in Westside Gazette in Fort Lauderdale. You know, your newspaper is not only serving South Florida, but you're becoming a national publication. The way you continue to put the news out and also be an advocate simultaneously for freedom, justice, and equality.
You know, it's a pleasure to have those accolades coming from such a distinguished gentleman as yourself, Dr. Chambers. And we are fortunate enough that we have individuals like Brother Busby to carry the load. It gives me an opportunity to sit back and not really sit back, but just know that the mission of the Black press is being carried on by Mr. Busby and following in the footsteps of giants. So we are glad to be here and bring you some of the things that are happening here in South Florida. Yes.
Yeah. In fact, I was about to say that was breaking news that Bobby Henry said he was sitting back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear you, Perry. And one of the things, Dr. Chambers, I commended Bobby on before we went on the air. One other publisher does what Bobby does, and that is the person he's always sparring with online, Cheryl Smith. They do what they're supposed to do. We see what their great publications look like. If you look behind Bobby, you see the Westside Gazette, and that's what Cheryl does when she comes on, and we appreciate that because this is what it's all about. It's about our fabulous publishers. And speaking of which, the fantastic Jackie Hampton is watching from the Mississippi Link this morning, as well as Cheryl Smith and others. We really appreciate you guys. Bobby, yesterday, before we went off the air, and this is the value of the Black press, this is the value of having 230 committed publishers. You sent us some breaking news, sad breaking news, albeit, but it was breaking news nonetheless, that General Colin Powell had died from complications due to COVID. Bobby, talk about General Powell and the impact he had in American politics and on America in general.
Okay, for me, let me just give you this short story. During the Black Press Week in D.C., same time at the Congressional Black Caucus, we were having a dinner and had the honor of General Powell was sitting right next to us. He, in his life, has always been a giant, but he has been a gentle giant and one that you could actually talk to. Colin Powell, General Powell, was a man of, how should I say this, meager beginnings, but he was so gracious and so proud of who he was and never apologized for who he was and where he came from. This man, again, was a giant amongst men, but he also stooped to help children. It was reported that when he went into a room, he would seek out and look for either a child or a woman who was alone, or the first thing was a man in uniform, a person in uniform. He always paid homage to those who served because he was the best, one of the greatest servants that we know of that ascended to higher heights because of his knowledge, his humility, and his willingness to get things done. Mr. General Colin Powell was a man amongst men, and everybody that came in contact with him respected him for that. He never looked down on anything. He took his job seriously, and he carried it out in full details. I want to quote him, but I don't want to mess it up. I do know that he said of when he went into war that the mission was to uh, what was it, to behead and then kill the enemy. So he was straightforward and to the point. He was a soldier and a servant. So that's my little understanding of who General Powell was. I know it's a lot more than that. His first this, his first that, but he was first a soldier, and then he was the servant, and then he was General Powell.
Well, and that's the idea, Bobby, is to get it directly from the Black press, and you gave us what your recollections were, and these were some great recollections, and we appreciate it. When we went off the air, just so as a tip, when we went off the air yesterday, Bobby, we were looking for more information, and we realized, man, Bobby Henry actually had this news long before many in mainstream media, and that's again what we stand for. Perry, I want to go to you because I know you, as a columnist, as a journalist, you've covered, like everyone else, this pandemic. You've covered incidents that have gone on, but with General Powell, he was set to get his booster shot, but he was too sick to get it, and then he passed away. The CDC, what we understand just this morning, that they are now considering, and they will make a decision in the next couple of days, that you can mix and match your booster shots. Talk about the importance of the booster shots, COVID vaccine in general, but the booster shots are going to be important as well.
Exactly. I think that, even before we talk about the importance of getting a booster, we do need to address the issue of where do we get good information, because that's what we're battling with. Be it through good intent or bad intent. Uh, one of the biggest trending conversations was how it was perceived that they were making General Powell's death into a political issue around COVID. We can't dispute that, but we do need to get better at addressing that, and I think that that's where the Black press continues to be at the forefront, and not just uh, uh, disseminating the information in a holistic sense, but also addressing the issues that address our community specifically.
Yeah.
And this is going to be one coming into the fall and winter seasons. It's going to we aren't sure if the numbers are going to rise, but we do know that with the morbidity rate among African Americans, that the after effect of COVID is something that is still under investigation.
Yeah, absolutely. And good morning to our chair, Karen Carter Richards from the Houston Forward Times. Always good to have the chair with us. Dr. Chavis, Perry was mentioning about the information, and I know that one of the missions that you set out for us, even declaring a state of emergency early on in the pandemic, even announcing before anyone else that the disease was airborne. I know you have some thoughts on the information that we have been presenting to our readers and our viewers.
Absolutely. And sometimes we receive inquiries of why do we continue to talk about COVID on Let It Be Known? And it's very simple. We have to provide the accurate information, the correct information, the relevant information to Black America, because we live in the age of misinformation. We live in the age of disinformation. And Brother Buzzer is right. That's where people go to the Black press. Even yesterday, and while we've been here in New York, people have come up to us in New York City just saying we need more of the Black press. Please tell us the truth. There's so much misinformation. And so we don't apologize for putting the truth out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to continue to do it. And we thank our chair. I'm glad she's on. We also, our national secretary, Jackie Hamilton down in Jackson, Mississippi. She's on. We have a great executive committee, a great board, and we have great publishers. Now, to be real honest, there may be a few dissenters out there, even among our ranks. But the truth of the matter is, overwhelmingly, the Black press is on the move. And with this daily news program, we're going to be putting more and more of our member publishers on a daily basis also. So, but yes, you recall, Stacey, we were one of the first national organizations to start a COVID-19 task force, the NMPA COVID-19 task force, and declaring a state of emergency. And the state of emergency in Black America is not over. Yes, the data shows that in some parts of the country, the trend is going in the right direction. But in other parts of the country, the trend is not going in the right direction. So to everyone listening to this program, please, if you're able, get your vaccination, wear your mask, wash your hands, continue to social distance. I know here in New York City, you cannot even go into a restaurant or anything, even on some of the street carts, you can't buy something until you show your vaccination card. That's how strict it is. And, we appreciate that people are observing, not only trying to protect their own individual health, but if you are infected, you don't want to infect other people. But let me just say for the record, I hope people go to blackpressusa.com, Stacey, to see the long article that we filed after we got the breaking news from Bobby Henry yesterday. Bobby, we went right to work. We put out a national news release. We expressed our condolences to the Powell family, and we also reiterated the great service that Colin Powell has rendered not only to the United States of America, but rendered to making our world a better and a safer place.
Yeah, and thanks to Bobby Henry, we even got some information. The White House sent us a statement, and President Bush also sent us a statement. So, Bobby, again, we appreciate you. We appreciate all of the publishers, and this is what the NMPA is all about, right? We have to work together. When we work together, we are able to achieve what nobody else can. In fact, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, when we met with him, one of the things he said when he heard about the 230 publishers, he says, "Man, he says y'all are more powerful than the Associated Press," and that is so true. Bobby, let me go back to you because we want to also segue over to the race for Alcee Hastings' seat. Talk about that. I want you and Perry to discuss and let our viewers and let the folks in on what's going on down in South Florida as they try and fill this important seat.
Okay, let me just say this. With the death of General Powell, we see and begin to understand the significance of what a Black leader is. Let me say that first. Now, the need to have that seat filled, it has to be filled with a person who can or has the will of the people, not a self-centered seat filler. And I'm gonna back up because I can go off into an opinionated position of how I feel about people who are trying to fill this seat. It's very important that this seat is filled with a qualified person, not from a friendship-based relationship, but from someone who is capable to represent the people. And we have 11 people trying to fill a seat that one powerful man commanded and demanded unapologetically from a Black position what should be given and earned to the people of the state of Florida. And those 11 who are vying for this position, I dare say that, I'm gonna let Perry go from here because because it's almost a shame of what we are doing. So Perry,
what happens, Perry, when we get Bobby worked up? It's just not good for our health, is it?
Yeah. No, it's good to hear Bobby express that because I believe that is the true expression of the community here. Bobby has seen Fort Lauderdale and Broward go through many changes. I'm originally from Texas. I just moved here, maybe 5 years ago. So what I do see is something very similar to what I experienced and saw in Harris County. And so my biggest concerns about this race, and we were talking about it previously, is one, we still call this the Alcee Hastings race, which means that no one in this race has really gotten any name recognition to even be seen as a leader in this race. One of the other issues, if we're just going to look at numbers, you would think that a race with a iconic figure such as Alcee, that it would have produced a lot of money in this race. It hasn't. It's big in some circles, but demographically, I don't think this race has even hit the radar of maybe those under 45.
Wow.
Unless they are really connected.
And is that, we had the privilege of having Alcee Hastings on last year for an NNPA live broadcast. And one of the things he was never afraid of was to talk about the past scandals that he's had to suffer through. Do we have candidates who look at that too and just don't want to bring certain things to the fore? Or candidates, what's the media like down there, I guess? Because I know they put Alcee Hastings through the ringer.
Well, it's not, I don't think it's been that. I mean, as far as some of the candidates, it's been a very low profile race in some regards. Some of the big issues that have come out of this that I think are very important and I think are worth voters, taking a look at, is that we have 5 elected officials who have given up their seats in order to run. Now, for me, I mean, just from a political sense, I'm saying that's a disqualifier for me because you can't count. And politics is about counting. And how is it that we're going to give up 5 for 1? So, we have that issue because now DeSantis gets to control 5 seats for 5 egos. And I'm not like Bobby. I'm kind of new here. These are 5 egos running this race. And our community, if we're gonna demand the best of Republicans and Democrats, we got to demand the best of those around the corner from us as well.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, when see what gets me, what concerns me about this race, and Perry did mention giving up those 5 seats. So the question is asked for me, if we voted you into position to fill this seat, it's the duration of your term. So when you jump out of it to go for another position, then you have just negated any loyalty that you had to the voters who put you there. So how is it that we could send you further to represent us when you chose to run away from us? So that bothers me. And then when you have people who are supposed to be close because of fraternal bonds, and you mean to tell me that you can't get your stuff together, that one of you can come out as opposed to 2 of you? This has created a political war between people in the community. Politicians are using their political seats to split a community for their own personal gain. And this is detrimental to Broward County. There's an issue coming up that's up concerning a forensic laboratory, which is a needed vehicle for jobs, for the division of young folk to get involved. But you got politics getting involved because people are running for a position, and now they want to change because of selfish reasons, and it is splitting the community. We are in no position as a community of people of color to be divided by some political self-grandiose, self-warning of an individual. And that is, to me, one of the lowest things you can do, is to allow your selfishness to override what the community wants. Now, I'm going to use this and the situation in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, where this rape took place on a bus, and nobody intervened to try to stop this. This is the same mentality that is being exhibited by some of our politicians, our black politicians who want to be in office, a bunch of selfish individuals. And this is the first time in my life that I almost ever considered not voting because of the BS, and that's being stupid by these people who are running for office. And I'm saying that, and I mean that. It has gotten to the point where a COVID mentality, a pandemic of stupidity and selfishness is weighing its way into our political arena and really killing us.
Yeah. So
and if we really look at this, Bobby, and again, I deal with numbers so that we understand really what truly these numbers are, because we aren't getting leaders. What we are getting are the people out front. In this election, in this primary election, the winner from this is all but guaranteed going to win the general.
Perry, let me jump in real quick because we're running out of time. But first of all, can you just quickly run down the candidates who's running? David Youngblood, and it's a great question because we didn't get into that. Who's running?
Okay.
Among those, Bobby, you want to take it?
If I miss one, you call. Okay. State Representative Bobby DeBose, State Senate Perry Thurston, Broward County Commissioner Barbara Sharif, Broward County Commissioner Dale Holness, the person who ran against Alcee McCormick, I can't remember her first name, Dowling, Irvin Dowling out of Palm Beach, Omar, what's Omar name?
Hardy. Omar Hardy. He's a state representative as well, Omar Hardy.
Former state rep Patricia Taylor. How many is that? Yeah.
That's 11, yeah, okay. And a few other, and I think there's 2 Republicans also.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bobby Claudette Perry says, "Run, Bobby, run."
I'll say this: if I was a little younger, and I would have jumped into it. Claudette's not the first one. Thank you very much. I was asked by several people, because of what is transpiring, and I was asked, but nope, this again, let me say this, Black people, we have a tendency to, if there is some preconceived notions of power, this couple, my wife is the county administrator for Broward County. I'm the publisher of the Westside Gazette. There are individuals who would try to use that as a wedge to split, what is transpiring, what is happening. My wife will be retiring in February, and if I would bite my tongue after that point, because there's some things that are happening within our community from our so-called leaders that needs to be exposed, and it will be, because of where we are.
We better be looking, and everybody read the Westside Gazette, because I have a feeling that it's going to be some great explosive journalism. Dr. Chambers, we got like 30 seconds for your close.
Right. I'm thank you, and I want to thank Brother Busby and thank our distinguished publisher, Bobby Henry, for his words. Can I just, in 10 seconds, put everything that they've said in context? Black unity versus disunity in our community. This is not only unity among politicians, unity among Black business leaders, and I would say even among the Black press. We need unity. We don't need disunity. And the powers of oppression pit some of us against each other to divide and conquer. I like Bobby's definition of BS. Being stupid, being ignorant, having amnesia, The reason why we repeat the past is because we are not knowledgeable and aware, learning from the past. Every ounce of progress that we've made in Black America has inured because of our unity, not because of our disunity, not because of our self-hatred, but because of our love for one another, for our ability to do for others that we would want to done for us. You know, and I think that I want to go back to what was said about Alcee Hastings. The reason why Alcee Hastings caught hell from the system is because he was a freedom fighter. Even before he went to the Congress, he was a federal judge. And even before that, he was an advocate for civil rights. So anyone who dared to run for his seat has to know what fighting for freedom is all about, has to know what Black unity was all about. Do you know they offered Alcee Hastings a deal if he would turn on some of his friends? He'd refuse.
Yeah.
He lost his judgeship because he would not turn on his own friends. And he was one of the strongest members of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah.
Alcee Hastings was fearless. So now you put those qualifications before these 5 people are running. Who matches what Alcee Hastings stood for? Who matches what Alcee Hastings gave his life for to unify Black people in South Florida? And because Alcee Hastings stood strong, he then got respect from non-Black people. Yeah. He got respect from the Jewish community. He got respect from the Latino community because he stood tall first among his own people. So I would hope that anybody who is aspiring to take Alcee Hastings' seat in the Congress of the United States would learn from his legacy, would try to present themselves as a representative of the continuation of that legacy. This is no time for Black disunity. This is no time for us to be pitting some of us against the rest of us.
Yeah. If I could, Stacey, give me 1 second. You know, another thing is that I think every political aspirant needs to understand that if you do not advertise or use Black businesses, then you are a disservice to your seat. And if you so choose not to put your message in Black-owned media, and which is a Black business, how can you say that you represent Black people when you don't support their Black businesses?
Well,
that's right. That's another part of the disunity. You know, and I think that what is going on in Florida, Stacey, is not just a Florida election. It's just not a South Florida. This is a national election. What is going on in Texas? If you see all what we discussed yesterday with Brother Boney and Cheryl, I mean, again, where's Florida, where's Texas, where's Georgia, even in my home state of North Carolina, all these places, there's contention. And I think what we learned from today's broadcast is the importance of our unity, is the importance of our self-respect, is the importance of our integrity, is the importance of not disconnecting from our own legacy. We've had Colin Powell. Who's going to fill Colin Powell's shoes? You know, that's what we need to be thinking about. Generations. We need generations of Alcee Hastings. We need generations of Fannie Lou Hamers. We need generations of Rosa Parks. We need generations of Malcolm X. We need generations of Rush Warren in the Black press. You know, so we got our work cut out for us. But I want to say that I'm optimistic, that I think our young people, and that's why the Black press is so important, Bobby and Brother Busby, we got to get this word out so we can mobilize them. The mainstream media will put you to sleep. Our job is to keep our people awake.
Let it be known, y'all. Thanks for watching again. Check out the Black Press on TikTok at NNPA Black Press. Just check us out, period, because this is what you're going to get. Everybody stay safe, wear a mask, get vaccinated where you can, and we will definitely see you tomorrow.
Yes. Good morning. God bless.